We had Tommy E. Curran on the show yesterday, Tommy Tuesday.
Tommy Tuesdays.
And he doesn't like when I do this, I guess. But
no, he doesn't like you,
I know,
period.
It's very possible.
Like when you do this also.
But he doesn't like me or when I do this.
Yep.
But he said yesterday, and I hear this a lot, Ninkovich was on this morning with the Greg Hill show, well, you can't play Drake Maye until the situation's right for him. So
I got news for you, Walter Cronkite. It'll never be good for him.
Well, that's right. So the follow-up question to me, and it's an obvious one, is, okay, if the situation isn't right all year, can you play Drake Maye? Does that mean you won't play him all year if the situation never gets right? And it's probably never going to be right.
But it's mixed messaging by the team, too, because he is the backup. He is the guy that would go in if something happened to Brissett. We just saw David Andrews get hurt. We feel like Jacoby Brissett gets hurt every game. He hasn't gotten injured yet, but he gets hurt every game.
Yep.
So at some point, you're going to have to take over. He also played the final series against the Jets a couple of weeks ago. So you put him on the field, you put him in harm's way, and now you can't play him, but you might have to at some point. So, yeah, it's all over the map. And at no point was in season did we think the offensive line was going to get drastically better.
Put a percentage on it, Keefe. I asked you to do this yesterday with Swayman. You said 50-50 on a Swayman trade.
Yep, I went on a ledge.
I put you – I think – but that was a higher number than I was going to say.
Fair enough.
I think I was bold. Don't sell yourself short there. But I like putting Keefe in the hot seat here. Hot under those lights, hey, Keefe? Put a percentage on it. What's the percentage Drake Maye does not – start a game this year? I would say doesn't play, but he already played against the Jets. What's the percentage he doesn't play this year as a starting quarterback?
So this is going to shock you. I think it's actually 0.
It's still 0.
I think, that he doesn't start a game all year. I think it's 0 because
I'm going to put like 5% on it now.
All right, so you're giving
it
all
low.
a chance.
No, but I would have said prior to the Andrews injury and prior to them being so adamant about sticking with Maye this week, I would have said 0 coming into this week. Now I'm up to like 5%.
But you're also saying
that's movement.
But right now, they haven't added anybody else to the roster that would play. They're not gonna go Joe Milton that leapfrog over Drake Maye, right? So if something happens to Brissett, so basically what you're saying is there's only a 5% chance.
Let me change the question. Yeah. If Brissett stays healthy, what's the percent? Is there a chance that Drake Maye does not play this year? I think yes. I think if I don't think they're gonna. I think
such
they
a
will.
long season.
It is. I think eventually they'll bench Brissett, but I have moved off it being 0% that Maye's going to sit the whole year, even if Brissett gets healthy. I'm not sure they're going to bench him. Not with the way the offensive line is falling apart. That's not what I would do.
But I also think
they were already nervous to put him out there, and the guys are dropping like flies.
But even the subsection of reporters/fans that thought, more reporters, I don't know how many fans are saying this, that Jacoby Brissett has done a hero's work the first 3 weeks. They weren't saying that after week 4.
No.
So Jacoby Brissett has more of those games in him than not, meaning he will turn it over. Guess what? Quarterbacks do. Now, other quarterbacks also make plays, so it kind of offsets the turnovers, but there's going to be a lot more losses, and there's going to be a lot more, oh, my God, Jacoby Brissett just fumbled. Jacoby Brissett got sacked to get him out of field goal range. Jacoby Brissett threw a pick. At some point, if the injury thing, if we're putting that to the side for the conversation, his level of play is going to get him benched at some point, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, again, I still
it might not be nearly as soon as we want it to be, because we sort of joked about, like, you can't wait till the bye week. The bye week's week 14. But maybe, to answer this question, if Drake Maye just starts the final 4 games of the season.
Right, he's in there.
He's in there.
So, look, I'm still saying 95% Brissett gets benched, not injured. Yeah. But I would have said 0 last week, and now I'm up to 5. And if he keeps sitting the next couple of weeks, that number's going to keep going up.
So do you think there's a chance in the next 3 weeks, let's call it, Miami, Houston, both home games, Jacksonville in London. So 2 terrible teams and 1 good one.
Do I think Brissett gets benched in the next 3 weeks?
No.
No.
No. Let's say he starts all 3 games. Do you think there's another New York Jets game where Drake Maye gets a series and then maybe kind of pops a little bit and really pushes the envelope? Be like, wait a minute. Like, I know it's garbage time, but he looked a hell of a lot better than the other guy, and then kind of forces their hand?
I mean, if you're asking me in the next month, is he getting into a game? My answer is no.
But he got, I would have thought that. But he
starts a game.
Oh, starts a game. I would
say
no too. But because remember last year with Bill Belichick, it took a while to really put the KO on Mac Jones.
Yeah,
he got benched a lot, but he kept starting, and then eventually they're like, okay, that's enough.
I thought he could start week 2. We all thought week 5 was like a clear green light start for Drake Maye, and now we're past that. And I'm like, I don't know when they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it next week against Houston. Again, barring injury with Brissett, that would force their hand. But based on his play, I don't think they're going to do it against Houston. I don't think they do it in London. Would they do it against the Jets in that home game? Maybe that's the most realistic, but I don't know.
I don't know if Brissett's going to be able to do enough to kind of swing the conversation back the other way because it was really quiet after week 1. Not that he lit it up, but it was, all right, that's the style. Win on defense, run the ball a lot, and don't turn it over. So they did that for a week, and then they played a competitive game where they lost to Seattle week 2. And so, sure, you'd still have a few people talking about Drake Maye because he's the number 3 pick in the draft, but it really kind of cooled off a little bit. It's really just been 2 games, and it's been nonstop, like, get Brissett out of there for most people.
Yeah.
So I think the way it goes, like, you have 13 more regular season games. I'd be surprised if he survives that.
But they're favored this week, and like if they
but that could speed it up. Like, I mean, if they lose, I mean, like, so
right.
now you're favored.
He's
you're playing
terrible. He's terrible in the game, and they lose. Could that expedite things?
It's one of the few times you're going to have the quarterback advantage on paper. Doesn't mean he plays better than Snoop Huntley,
right?
But that's my point. Is like that stands out. Where it's like, Aaron Rodgers played better than you. Geno Smith played better than you. Brock Purdy played better than you. Okay, like Snoop Huntley played better than you.
That's
maybe grab some seat.
That is different. That's true. Tim is in Nashville. Go ahead, Tim.
So, all these problems developing with injuries, in most of the play that I've watched the last 4 games, is it a scary story to see the backups that you actually have substituting in? Before they had on the backfield for the defense, they had Bryant. They had players that you were familiar with.
Miles Bryant?
Is there?
He's bad.
Well, just as a substitute, Adam, I don't think that Wolf has prepared for the defense to be less of players, and same with the center as far as the backup for Andrews.
Yeah, look, the roster's bad.
Roster's bad. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I wouldn't cite Miles Bryant as an example of it, but I get what he's saying. I think their roster's been bad now for a few years, so I don't think it's – I mean, look, Wolf was here last year with Bill, so blame him for some of that, but roster depth, roster talent, it's been poor now for a few years. And so I don't think that's new.
And I think that's – no, because that's been discussed quite a bit because there were plenty of teams, even going back 2-3 years ago, where there'd be different kind of like rankings, right, of rosters. It'd be like just overall, but then it would also be players 25 and younger. And so when you rate really low on the 25 and younger, chances are a couple years later, unless you smash these drafts, it's going to be really, really bad. So I'm still holding out hope, and we don't know yet. Could this draft class be good? Could we look in 3 years and say Drake Maye, Jalen Polk, maybe one of the 2 linemen, and somebody like, oh, you got good players there.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's possible. But right now, it's one of the worst rosters. Part of that is Wolf's fault, but he also inherited a horrible roster. He chose to re-sign every guy.
Well, and he's been here for a few years. So, I'm not going to absolve him of any of the roster decisions in the past.